implemented or funds released for 15% of capital projects, there'll be huge questions as to is that showing that this capital projects, or the capital side of things, will get up to 50% by December of this year. Not to forget the fact that members will go on recess. There will be quite a number of holidays. In fact, we have one, from what we understand, this Friday.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
And we're entering the holiday season. How feasible or how realistic is it when the president says that 50% of capital projects will be completed or will be done by the end of this year?
Well, I don't want to say he was telling a lie. He came to address the joint session of the House, and he said by December 31, we will ensure that 50% of the budget, capital vote for 2017 budget, has been released. And don't forget that for capital expenditure, it is based on borrowing. We don't have the resources to finance it.
I'm just asking, how realistic is that assumption or that, that statement?
I believe it is realistic. I'm not the president's spokesman, but I mean, the bonds have been issued, and the minister made it, he told us that the funds are available. You don't see any effect on the economy? I mean, some people might say that as a result, inflation might rise. If all of a sudden, the markets are seeing, or the economy is seeing a sudden increase of funds being pumped into it, we might see an increase in interest rate. The Monetary Policy Committee have been meeting and have been keeping interest rates, doing nothing about it, basically. But if there is a sudden liquidity in the system, the chances are high that we might see interest rates soaring. If the sudden liquidity is channeled towards our productive ventures, you'll be constructing roads, you'll be building bridges, you'll be putting people on the job. So it's not like you are going to pump liquidity and it will be used for consumption. So I don't see anything that's going to affect. With inflation as well. You don't see any. I don't believe it. If you pump in money, liquidity, and it's going to be used for infrastructure development, productive ventures, it's not likely to lead to inflation. Okay, so from what you get from members of the House, I mean, because you are explaining and you don't seem to have any issues with the 2018 budget. Absolutely.
You say that it would seem that the issues that members of the House have with the budget is the capital side of things, and the fact that, so far so good, implementation of the capital side of things have been poor. But we've also heard from the Senate, there have been questions as to the assumptions underlying. For instance, Senator Hope Uzodinma thinks that some of the targets given to Nigeria Customs is way too low, considering previous years. And then you also find members saying that the recurrent expenditure seems to be on the increase. You also heard from senators who say that we're beginning to see a bigger or bloated civil service, and you find out that they're buying quite a number of things, but then, there's very little money left to do any real work. Are these issues for you? Okay, let me explain now. I agree with Senator Hope. For customs, I think the target for them is too low. I said it a few days ago that they should have a kind of stretched budget. I mean, as at October, they've done like 99%. I mean, that's like you are just allowing them to stroll. They should be given a target that is realistic, that's tough but achievable. That's an attainable standard. Giving them a very low budget to achieve will make them look like a superstar. So I think the budget for customs should be jacked up. Also, for issue of recurrent expenditure, it's going to rise from 2.98 trillion to 3.4 trillion. That's about 12% increase. The president said that he's going to pay area of promotion areas. There will be recruitment into the military, the police, and other paramilitary agencies. It has a social dimension. So the Nigerians don't have job. We are crying that there's a high level of unemployment. Now, if there's anything coming from the executive to employ people, I don't think it should be a challenge. People are saying that the civil service is over-bloated. You cannot retrench anybody now. Where are you going to push them to? So, for me,
That little increase in the recurrent expenditure is nothing to really worry about. The only worry I have is about the independent government revenue. That is revenue to be remitted from the operating surplus of state-owned enterprises. As of September, they've done only 26%. They should have done, I mean, if I flex the budget, that's on a pro rata basis, they should have done 606 billion. They did only 155 billion. That's a shortfall of 74%. So, high level of